Hello, hello, hello. It's Keita Williams, founder and chief strategist of Success Bully. Success Bully is an elite accountability practice, so that makes me your personal professional butt kicker. And we are so excited that it's Monday. I think I'm like the only person that is like tossing confetti and doing cartwheels because it's Monday. But I'm excited that you're here and I'm excited to be here. I'm so excited for today's show. The month of March, we're talking all things money this month. And I think that especially on today, International Women's History Day, that we really need to focus in on how we empower ourselves as women. And one of the ways that we empower ourselves as women is building our own economy. So I am so excited to welcome our guest today. Before we get into that, I got announcements. I got a lot of stuff to share with you. Again, a lot of confetti tosses going on right now. A lot of stuff that we are really excited about. And so, we've been building this community around supporting side hustlers and scaling entrepreneurs, and we're very passionate about that. And as a former corporate escape artist myself, I know what it's like. I know what it's like to balance working full time, your family obligations, and still try to find time to scale your business in a way that if you want to, you can submit your letter of resignation. And so I'm excited that we are doing another challenge. So our 5 days of focus challenge starts on March 15th, and that is dedicated to our aspiring corporate escape artists. So if you have that side hustle and it's rocking and rolling, but you're really trying to figure out your plan and next steps and strategy so you can scale out of scale out of corporate, I want you to join us for that challenge, and you can grab your spot at successbully.com/challenge. We're gonna walk you through a process to give you a framework of a plan so like you can really start thinking about what it takes. What's that walk away number? What are those systems that you have to have in place so that you can bid farewell to corporate? And so in order to help support you in that process, we have some lovely concierges in this group. And so I want to introduce you to our new concierges. So first and foremost, Danielle, when she gets a chance, she's going to say hello. Danielle is a new member of the Success Bully team, and she has letters A through G. So if your first name begins with the letters A through G, then Danielle is your point person. Danielle will help get you registered. She will help you get to the workbook for the upcoming challenge. If you have any questions or concerns, Danielle is your go-to if your first name begins with the letters A through G. Now, if your first name begins with the letters H through N or S through Z, CC, the incomparable CC, is your concierge. I always have to say it like that when I talk about CC. CC has letters H through N and S through Z. So again, if you need help getting registered for the challenge, if you need the workbook, if you need to book a strategy session with yours truly, or you need some additional support, if you're stuck anywhere, reach out to Cece and she will get you on my calendar and get whatever you need. If your first name begins with the letters O through R, I want to once again welcome Jen back to the Success Bully team. She worked with me in, late 2017 into early 2018, and twists and turns, she has come back to the team to help us with our next leveling and our growth that we are doing this year. So welcome back, Jen. Jen has the letters O through R. So if your first name begins with the letters O through R, Jen is your go-to. And again, she can help you get registered for the challenge. She can help you get your workbook. She can help you get all of the tools as we go through the process that starts next week that you need to be successful. Again, if you need support, strategy sessions, any of those things, reach out to your concierge and they will make sure that you get a spot on my calendar. And as we are leading up to the challenge that starts on March 15th, stay tuned for prizes and surprises. Cece and I are going to be announcing our next big giveaway because we're so super stoked about this. So keep an eye out for that. Okay, I'm going to take a deep breath. I had to bring my heart rate down. Way too excited. Way too excited. I am excited to welcome Audrey Goodwin to the show. Audrey is the founder of the Audrey Company, and she is just a absolute delight. She's one of those people that like her light shines so brightly you just want to be around her. So like personally, I have been missing that light because we haven't been in the same room in over a year. She is an award-winning financial strategist and a champion for women's economic development. She has actually created her own system called the Position for Profit system, and that's for women leaders to align their finances with the vision, values, and priorities for every season of their lives and their business. I can't wait to dig into this one. I can't wait to dig into this. And this not only allows you to keep more of what you make, it also allows you to leave a meaningful financial legacy to the people and the causes that you love. So money just isn't about the cash. The money isn't just the dollar sign. It's about the legacy, about what you're going to do with that money. Over her career, she has served clients as a trusted advisor. She's been a CFO. She believes that financial mastery is not an all or nothing choice, but behaviors that are informed by who we are and who we're becoming. So not just who you are today, but who you want to be. This really touched me. This was like, oh, oh. Her clients recognize her ability to feel deeply, yet make decisions with a clear head, and which makes her a valuable partner in helping them become financially savvy, lead their households and companies as well. She's a financial strategist and storyteller, believing in what's possible and grounding in what's possible right now. And she's been featured on NBC, the Seattle Times, the News Tribune, as well as radio stations around the U.S. We are in for a real treat. We are so blessed to have Audrey with us today, and I am so excited to kind of dig into her background and what she's doing right now, because she's got exciting news. She's got exciting news. So welcome, Audrey. Let's see. Tech, please support us. Please support us.
Hello. How are you? I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for saying yes.
I'm going to act like I'm Shonda Rhimes, and we're just going to make this my year of yes.
Yeah, I like it. Well, it's so true. This is a huge year. Year. I do think that 2020 we had some lessons. At 2021, if you're still standing, this is the growth year. This is the growth year. And so you have this impressive financial career, and you've done everything from being a CPA to being a CFO and all points in between. So how has your experience guided you in building your business and this position for profit system? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I'll start with, I never intended to be an accountant. Right.
Okay.
That wasn't what I was dreaming of when I was a little girl. So it came out of necessity and security. And so the thing that I really love doing is teaching and writing and speaking. And so during the 20 plus year career that I've had, the biggest thing was having these conversations with clients that would not freak them out about finances, right? Because here's the thing is I would deal with men and women especially, who are just brilliant at what they do. And yet, because they've been spoken to or treated in a certain way, when we start talking about finances, all of a sudden they're like, I'm not really sure. I don't really know. Like, am I stupid? Am I this? And it's like, no. My job is to educate you to a place where you can make well-informed decisions based on things that you understand, right? As opposed to most of the industry that is like, hey, I hold the keys to the kingdom. So, unless you get an MBA, you can't know what I know. And it's like, no, that's not what you're hiring me for, right? So that's how we got to the place where I realized that I was doing the same thing over and over again, right? We would have clients that would get referred to me and they go, hey, I need a tax attorney. Great. Tell me about your business. Tell me about your life. And they're like, I just need my taxes done. And I'm like, so here's the deal. Is if we're going to actually put together a holistic tax strategy, taxes is one piece of finances, and finances is one area of your life and your business. So if you say, we want this tax strategy, that's sort of like the tail wagging the dog. So we would start talking about, what's really the vision for your household or for yourself or for your family or for your business, right? And then what do you value, right? Because if we're not philosophically matched, like I'm not for everybody. Like either you like me or you don't like me, because there has literally been there's no in between. There's no in between.
Same here. I'm like asparagus. I'm an acquired taste. Either you love me or you hate me.
That's right. So it became this idea that it's, we talk about having a vision, but everything that we do takes us off track. And so if we ground our financial strategy in where do we really want to go? What's really most important to us right now? Because I'm 57. So what's valuable to me now is not the same as when I was 40 or when I was 35.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did my first business as a CPA firm, consulting firm, the values I had there, some of them stick. But what I'm doing now in this with this training and development company is very different in that I want to teach you how to fish, not just give you
Ooh.
the fish or figure out like what's the lure and what's the fish pole. And no, I want you to be able to fish. So if you go on the lake or you go on the river or you go on the ocean,
Mm-hmm.
you know how to fish. Right. And that's what
Yeah.
the position for profit framework is. This is about being able to go beyond just the recipe. Right. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
about, hey, so here's how I got out of debt or here's how I did this. This is
Mm-hmm.
what's important to you right now. Where do you want to be in 5 years? So then what's the priority that we need to focus on for the next 12 months? And then let's figure out what we need to, adjust in our spending. If we're in a career and we need certain skill set, then we may need to take classes. Well, we need
Right.
money, unless they're all free, we need money to take
Mm-hmm.
classes. So how are we going to do all of this? Or even getting into debt? How am I going to get out of debt before I even get into debt? Right? Like I've literally had clients that we've talked about them buying their home, and I go, great, get a 30-year mortgage. Let's figure out how we can pay it off in 12 years, which has been done.
Get into it. So then, like, let's step it back. So let's tell
Yep.
everyone what exactly is the Audrey Company. So you said that it's a learning and development. So give us the big picture and your vision for the next few years.
So for the Audrey Company, we are really a disguised leadership training and development company, because what we believe is that having a real financial strategy is really a revelation or a revealing of your leadership. Because if you take no personal responsibility, then there's no leadership and there's no direction for your finances. And one of the core tenets of our company is that we truly believe who we are being and who we are becoming informs all of our behaviors. So
Mm-hmm.
if I am working on who I am today, I expect that a year from now we have this conversation. There are things that have shifted, which means that I need to be able to look at everything in my life and go, is this back in alignment? And if
Mm-hmm.
not, what do I need to do to make it come into alignment? Really, we want to make sure that every woman who considers themselves a leader and considers themselves brilliant in their own area can really have more control over their personal economy and become better stewards of what comes their way, not just their time, but their finances, so that they're making more money, they're spending it wisely, they're paying the right amount of taxes, and they're actually funding their legacy for whatever is most meaningful and important to them.
I love it. I love it. So then who would you say are your ideal clients? Are you working specifically with entrepreneurs, or are you working with women, whether they are in their corporate career or they're side hustlers? So who is your ideal fit?
So the ideal fit is actually a combination of women professionals and entrepreneurs, right?
Okay.
Because what we're teaching is basic financial skills. So like if I know how to do it in my household and I decide I want to run a side hustle or a business, I take those same skills.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to here's the recipe for doing this at home, but it doesn't apply to anything else. So we have this firm belief that if I teach you how to fish, regardless of environment, you'll be able to do this. So you'll be able to navigate, because let me back this up. Some of the clients I have had, literally, we talk about their business finances, yet they have no idea what's going on in their household
Yep.
finances. And who we are, right? All of those skills we bring into whatever venture we're doing. So
Mm-hmm.
if we're doing a side hustle, but we're like, hey, all the money's coming in, but it's going out as quickly as it's coming in, that means you didn't really have an idea of what you wanted to do with that money when it got there. So
Right.
usually when we're not mindful and intentional about the money that's coming in, it will run out the back door just as quickly as it hit the front door.
Yep. And I even think like with side hustlers, and even in the entrepreneurial space that like, the tendency is like, yeah, well, I think the books are fine, or like, yeah, I think this is what's
Mhm.
going on, or some of the side hustlers that we work with are like, well, I can't see myself replacing my corporate salary. Actually, you can, and it
Right.
ain't that hard.
It is not.
It's not that hard. It's not as hard as you make it. It's not as
For
hard as you make
sure. For sure.
it. So then, like, why is it? What can what do you hope our listeners here, those side hustlers and entrepreneurs and our badass female founders, what do you hope that they would gain from having that deeper understanding of their finances? What do you hope that they will walk away from in that?
Well, I think first and foremost, they will understand that there's a rhythm, right? So there is, everything to side hustlers and entrepreneurs and found everything's an opportunity. But if you're not really sure of that, the funds you have in the bank, can I really use it for that? Because it may be already earmarked for something. But the more that you understand that if we tie our financial strategy to our priorities, then when something comes up that's truly an opportunity, we can make a more educated, informed decision about, you know what, we're going to put this priority on the back burner for now, because we really need to use these funds to take advantage of this opportunity. And what ends up happening is we kind of do I'm going to, rob Peter to pay Paul, and then I'm going to mug Mary along the way to get to where we're going. It's all of this, right? So we never stop long enough to go, because we're looking at our bank balance, because now, you can see what's pending and what's available. But really, if it's all sitting in the back of our head about what we're trying to do the math, then I'm not available to do business development. I'm not truly present and available to lead my team. I'm not fully present and available to even think about what I need to do on my side hustle after I spent 8 to 10 hours in my full-time job. Because at the back of my mind, I'm always thinking about, well, is this going to clear, or is this? And even if you have, 5 figures in the bank, how much of that is really available to you?
How much of that is real money?
That's right.
It's real money. So then, we're big on goal setting and accountability here, and that's our secret sauce. So what are you wanting more of in 2021? What is your personal big goal this year?
Well, my big goal this year is to have 100 people go through the Fearless Financial Mastery Academy. That's my big goal.
Okay. And so tell us what that is. And how do we find it? Because we want to, if you need 100, we want to help you get your 100.
There you go. So the Fearless Financial Mastery Academy is our hybrid college campus, right? The thought is that for the investment that you're making, think about any classes you have taken that were not sort of on the job training. What can you really use from that today? I think about my sociology and psychology classes I took in high school, or in college. Some of them I remember, but it's not practical enough for me to use every day. So this is really about, how do we do the vision work? How do we do the values work? How do we do the priorities? And then let's talk about, where do we start right here with the reality of our finances? And it's not about guilt or shame. It's really about, give yourself grace. If you knew something different, you would have done something different. And even if you've done all the Google recipes, as I call them, then you don't have somebody, called Dr. Google. So then it becomes, but if you don't have somebody walking with you to really talk you through what's emotionally coming up, to help you recognize a pattern of thinking that stirs up your emotion, that directs or distracts your behavior, that's what this academy is about. So we have training, we have action and accountability calls, we have office hours. It's sort of like ask me anything, because as most people will start and it sounds really good until 30 days, and then it's like, I'm exhausted. Well, let's talk about that, because emotionally, if you're not taking care of your soul in different areas, if you're not taking care of your mind, if you're not taking care of your emotions, if you're not taking care of your physical health, working on your finances alone is going to be exhausting. So this is a 6-month program that we want people to, you can't change your behaviors around finances in a 12-week accelerated program. You just can't. Because it's really about bringing your whole present self into making these changes that will last you over a lifetime. And so for anyone who enrolls, our next cohort starts April 20th. So anyone who enrolls in April will actually be with me till the end of the year. So that's definitely more than 6 months. Bonus. Yeah.
And so I really like this concept, because I think besides, there's as there's your personal finance, there's your business finance, and one can affect the other.
For sure.
Also, I think that we're still in the land of pandemic world, that people who had really buttoned up financial habits were upended last year, right? Or or thought they had a handle on it, and their business model had to change, and they're figuring
Right.
out their new business model.
Right.
And so, like, I think what I love about what you're putting together, what you have put together, is the idea that you're teaching us how to fish. That, like,
Absolutely.
regardless of where you are, whatever stage you're in, wherever you're going, that you have the tools in your toolkit.
That's it. That's
And
it.
it's not a one size fits all. Because, like, you know, what my financial life looked like when I worked full time and side hustled versus what my financial life looks like as a full time entrepreneur,
Right.
totally different concerns.
Totally different concern. Yep.
Totally different concerns. And so,
Well,
like, go ahead.
I was going to say, and the other thing, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think one of the things that we need to understand around finances is that these pivots are not 180 degrees.
Mhm.
These are adjustments. So, like, this is like a 1 degree adjustment, right? So the people that had to, you know, like, their businesses were upended, what that really just said is that you didn't really think about your business because you wanted to go on autopilot, which is great. However, if you had a hybrid of online and in person, if your entire business was in person, then you were done, right? And so you had to make this pivot and adjustment. But most of the time, we're so focused on the gross revenue, like, I just need cash in the door.
Right.
And so then what we don't
Money grab.
realize, yeah, right. And it's always, oh, what's the low hanging fruit? But then we get into that habit of that short term thinking, I just need cash, and that's the wrong lens. Right. So think about it. Like, you know, we're so focused on securing the bag, but it's like, so what you gonna do after you secure the bag?
After you get the bag, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, what are you going to do with that, right? And to be mindful about it, because most people are like, well, I'll just, you know, spend it all because I don't want to pay a tax bill. It's like, but you realize that people like, you know, Bill Gates, and like, they have professionals that help them manage their money, and they don't spend every last dollar that they have comes in the door. And so we need, especially as women, yes, we're used to being resourceful and you know, doing something out of nothing. We have to get in the habit of not draining our bank account to zero because we're just used to, you know, being the phoenix rising out of the ashes. It's exhausting, right? Like,
it's unnecessary.
Totally unnecessary. And so the thing that I tell clients all the time is sales every month starts at zero, but your bank account should not.
Tell them, Audrey.
That's really what it comes down to.
Oh, mic drop, everyone. Mic drop. And so, like, when we're thinking about, and so essentially, like, this is a 6-month mastery academy, and this is a 6-month program with you. So at what point do you usually recommend that people seek out coaching like this? At what point would you say, call me?
As soon as possible. Like, and here's why, right? Because some of my best success stories have literally been people who literally had a business idea. They were pre-revenue. They just needed to get these habits grounded into the DNA of their habits, of their patterns, right? What do they know? And so, granted, they didn't need to hire a bookkeeper right away because they had like 3 transactions a week, right? They could do it themselves. But it's the thought of, you have to make time for this, which means that when you get to hiring that bookkeeper, there's this expectation that you will get a financial statement from your bookkeeper at a certain time every month, right? So it's encraining all these questions and being aware of what you need to be aware of before you start. So ideally, I would love to be able to get people when they are just ready to unlearn old habits or just learn new habits, right? Because they're like floundering. The other time would be when you're really ready to hire somebody on your financial team, whether it's a tax person, your CPA, because a lot of times our CPAs are so focused on your tax strategy, not realizing that some of those tax strategies cut your legs out from you being able to grow your business. Because you're spending money on stuff to get the tax deduction to save taxes. But though, unless you're buying things that are going to help you maintain or grow your business, you could literally be cutting your legs out from underneath you.
Oh, this is all very fascinating. What I love about this conversation is that you just make it sound like so, I don't want to say easy, but like it's so approachable, you know, like I think like in some of my interactions with the CPAs and, you know, I got people that like, you don't respond to me like I'm a CPA. I didn't study none of this. This is not what I do all day.
Right, right. And that's the whole point, right? Is this is why people go to Google. This is why people go to the, millions of finance blogs of, I just need someone to talk to me in my language. And it really comes down to like, what's really important to you? Because finance is not really that complicated. If you can add, subtract, multiply, and divide, that's what it is. And you don't even have to do it in your head because, there are calculators and there's all kinds of things that you can use, right? It really comes down to, let's pull away from the dollars and cents and go to what are really the root issues. Where do we need to focus our time and energy, especially for our side hustlers and entrepreneurs? You should be spending 80% of your time on revenue generating activities. That means client delivery. That means business development. That means marketing and sales.
I call those MMAs, your money making activities. And I think that especially for our side hustlers, you get so, I think that like most side hustlers are newer to entrepreneurship, and they're doing what they're told, or they're doing what they let's spend all this time. You got to have a social media presence. 4 years in.
Yep.
4 years in, this is when our social media started paying off.
Right. And the thing is that with side hustlers, you could end up with a tax bill. And that's what they don't realize. It's like, if you're not clear about why you started your side hustle, I know many people started their side hustle in order to get out of debt. Great. Now we know that what that's for. You may have a tax bill. Here's why. Or your refund may be reduced, right? Now you know you're out of debt. Now what are you going to do with that money?
What's next?
And that's when you have to start thinking about, do I really want this to become what I'm going to do? Because some side hustlers, they love doing what they're doing. Because if you turn it into a business, remember, if you're jewelry making and you now want to turn that into a business, at some point in time, you stop making jewelry. You start running a company. So those are the decisions you have to make.
Yes. At some point, you become the CEO.
That's right.
And not the
or
CEO
you hire somebody to manage it, right? And that's the other piece, is like, not everybody has to be the CEO. I've literally had clients that go, can you just help me hire somebody to manage the business? Because I want to do this. Great. And it makes it so much easier. We don't have to have the title of CEO to get the job done. If we hire people that are brilliant in those areas, right, then let's get them hired. But let's figure out how much it's going to cost to get them hired, and then be willing to let go of control so that they can do their job.
There you go. Thanks for that kick in the butt there, Audrey. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
I didn't come here for that.
Only because
let's go on deep, y'all didn't tell me in the chat. Anyway, like, you're gonna let me talk all the whole time. Anyway, but no, like, I think that this all comes down to like, where do you want to go? And like, when I started my business, I said it as a joke at the first F-bomb, and like, you remember that? And like, what I thought it would be, I was a reluctant entrepreneur, and then it was like, oh, this is a thing. Then it was like, oh, wait, I make more doing this than working, so like that. And I think where I want to go now is a totally different mindset. It's a totally different, like, when you are an army of one and you're getting it over the line versus supporting a team, like, there are, like, every new level, there's a different type of learning I have as an entrepreneur. Absolutely. And I'm really excited about that. Teach them how to fish. Because these are the skill sets. Oh my goodness, I can't wait. So like, the other new news in your neck of the woods is, this is a great transition about transition.
Oh yeah,
this is a transition about transition. So go ahead. What's your latest, Audrey?
So I am full-time now in the Audrey company. I am no longer working full-time at a job, which I enjoyed it. It was a startup, and I had a week off, and so this is literally the first day that I am stepping in as full-time founder and CEO of the Audrey company, which is super exciting.
Congratulations on that. I love hearing that when people make that transition from full-time, from being the side hustler to going full-time in the business. So what was like your thought process as you were making the decision? Like, what were some of the things that you were kind of keeping in mind as you were getting ready to make this transition?
That's a great question. In that, first of all, for me, it was, what do I really want to do, right? So I'm in a different position than a lot of side hustlers in that I already had a career.
Right,
And
right.
so what I love doing in the interim was helping, startups really get their financial systems, secure and solid for them to grow and scale. And then I was like, okay, I'm done. Same thing when I did with my CPA firm. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I
I'm
want to do
done.
something that is going to like not just light me up, but be a service to other women that are serious about really getting to, being better stewards of their finances. And so for me, it was, how long is this going to take?
Mhm.
And then what was interesting is that once I made the decision that I was just kind of done being an employee somewhere, and I was like, oh, I need this much to live on. So that all worked out. And then what was so interesting is that the startup I was working for, we had come to this understanding that it's like, oh, you really need someone else here because I do strategy really well. So I'm building for where you need to be in 6 months, but you really want somebody who's more of a traditional accountant, which I have none of that vibe. I've never had any of that vibe. And so
Mhm.
we came to that agreement. And so for me, it was just, how do I wrap this up well for them so that they can go and do what they need to? And then what is it that I really want to do? And I've been in this class around broadcasting my brilliance on video because I love to speak. And I'm like, okay, so I can start mastering those skills to talk on camera. So here we are practicing what I've been learning. And so I just know, I'm laying out what's the video and the marketing strategy, knowing that I'm going to launch the academy, and we'll probably have, open enrollment every month. But the
Mhm.
thought is like, we're just going to launch it in April, and then we're going to see how we go from there.
I love it. I love it. I love it. But like what I think that I want all my side hustlers to hear in this was first, you made the decision that you were
Mhm.
like, I'm done. I
Yep.
think that that's the first hurdle. Because I think and
Yep.
when I was kind of making the decision, I was like, I'm done. And it was around my 40th birthday. I was like,
Hmm.
my gift to myself for my 40th was to be done with corporate, right? And
Right.
so like, but first it was making that decision, I'm done. Then it was doing the math.
Right. And I do think there's another piece to this, right? Because you can be done, but we need to be done without drama.
Right. That
Because I
part.
think there's a difference when you say I'm done. Like when I was younger and done, it was like, I'm done, I'm angry. And it's like, no, you know what?
It
We
was a
can
very
be
peaceful done.
done. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like, let's do this with grace and with honor, regardless
I
of
took a
how
bow.
anybody
There was
else behaves.
confetti.
There you go, right? But I do think that's important. Is like if we're feeling resentful in our jobs, then it's not the job because that was always the way it was. It's what's shifting in us so that
Mhm.
we can be done and then walk away with our head held high and still respecting people for how they
Mhm.
show up, but just to move on.
I love it. Yeah, there's something about that peaceful done versus my 20-year-old done would have been kicking the garbage can on the way out.
I've been doing that waiting to exhale, Angela Bassett.
Throwing burn the bridge.
That's it. That's it. But I do think that's important because I think we live in a society where everything, like we don't talk about how we can be done with dignity. It's like,
Done with
I'm just
dignity.
done. And I
Yes.
don't have to be like cussing you out. Like, no, because
No.
what's happening is inside of me, there's a restlessness.
Mhm.
There's something else for me. So my next requires me to end this well, because how I end something is the energy and the character that I'm bringing into my next.
Stop it. I can't handle all these mic drops. I can't take notes because I'm doing the thing. You do know that, right? Now I got to go
Yes,
back
I
and
do.
watch it. I got the goosebumps on that one. Woo! Thank you. Thank you, Audrey. Thank you. Thank you. And so, like, I think that I like that being done with dignity. Being done with dignity. And even, this shows up what I like about this concept that like being done with dignity, that's not just work. that's not that's
Mhm.
that's your personal relationships. That is, when it's time to just to end a friendship, end a
Right,
relationship, when it's time to end one part of your life and close one door and enter into another one. It does
right.
not have to be a bunch of fireworks.
That's right. That's right.
And it doesn't have to be all this emotional toil you put yourself through.
Yeah, and I do think when it comes to finances, and we talked about it briefly before the show started, is that we keep talking about wanting to bridge the wealth gap, and we want to be able to make these millions, and everybody should be a millionaire, and we should and we villainize people with money because we think we understand their values. Like, no, really what we have to do is we have to do our own development. Like, we have to develop our own character, because
Mhm.
money is not good or bad, it's amoral. It
Mhm.
just magnifies who you already being.
Mhm.
So like, I don't want to, like, I grew up in the projects in the Bronx, so I knew pretty mean poor people,
Pretty mean
right?
poor people. Right, right.
Right,
Mhm.
I mean, and so you give them money. Well, it's like, you see the lottery winners, they get money, they burn through everything. One, because they don't have the container
Mhm.
in order to, and the character in order to meet that level of income or that sudden cash flow, right? So it's like, even when people get inheritance from family or whatever, it's like, what do I do with this money? I'm like, usually I tell people, like, just let it sit in a bank for 6 months.
Mm.
Like, you need to get used to seeing 5, 6 figures sitting in your bank account,
I
because
love it.
we're so used to seing less that we will spend that, unconsciously spend down,
To get it
because
back to
there's a
less.
whole bunch of stuff going on, because
Mhm.
we're uncomfortable. Like, well, what, because we've already been trained. Think about every TV show you've ever watched. The very wealthy are super mean people, and
Mm.
that's not always true.
I love it. Yeah, your direct quote was, I wrote this down. You have to develop your character, otherwise you can't develop the cash.
That's right.
And I
If
thought
you
that that was just like,
Well, and the other thing is, like, I joke because I have friends who are very much into the law of attraction. I'm like, y'all are funny. It's like, you guys are great manifestors, but you are horrible stewards. I said, so you spend more money trying to manifest something, as opposed to, hey, you got this great windfall, this really worked. So how are you going to make that last? How are you going to steward
mhm,
that in a way that now you're
mhm.
planting the orchard? You're not
Oh,
always having to buy the apples or having to buy the grapes. It's like the vineyard is being planted. So now you have harvest to come, and you can still manifest, because guess what? Now you're manifesting on a new level,
I love
over
it.
and over and above.
I just absolutely adore you. Oh, I'm like, yes, manifested, orchard, vineyards, all that. Did you somebody put that in the comments? Put it in the comments, Jen. Help me here. I can't take notes. Okay, so like, this is a series of questions that I have to ask all of our guests.
Sure.
So, one of the things that we're really big on in my practice is the idea of ruling your time. We don't believe in time management because that implies it has a choice. So, when
That's
it
right.
comes to ruling your time, like, you design your day, you tell it what to do. You are in charge, just like you're a steward of your money, you are a steward of your time.
That's
So,
right.
tell me, how do you keep things in balance, and what are some of your productivity hacks that you'd like to share?
Sure. So I don't believe in balance. I believe there's a
Oh,
rhythm.
get into it. Tell me more
It's
about
it,
the rhythm.
because everything is it's a season, it's a rhythm, right?
Mhm.
So if I am most creative at 3 o'clock in the morning, then it makes no sense for me to try to fit my flow into a 9 to 5, when really I know that the things that don't require my creativity I can get done during a certain important time. But if I need to be creative, I show up at that time. Right. So for
Love it.
me, this is really about the rhythm of the day. And not that I'm not being disciplined about it, right? Because you'll hear it's like, I'm just gonna go. No, no, no. There's still guardrails, right? I look at my day in terms of what are the priorities. Like, I
Mm,
start on Sunday, what's the priority for this week? And
yep.
I don't start with how much money I need to make. It's like, what are the revenue generating activities I need to do? What's non-negotiable? My quiet time, my physical health are non-negotiable.
Yep.
So that's always on the calendar. If I have to meet with clients or meet with prospects or do shows like this, then those are other non-negotiables, because those are already set in stone. And then it's one or three things that, like, what has to get finished, and what just needs to be moved forward, because not everything
Ooh,
needs to be finished today.
I like the, what has to be finished and what needs to be moved for. Yet
And then,
another mic drop.
and part of that is, sometimes we do things and we put it on the master to-do list, but we just need to move it forward enough so that we can delegate it.
And there you have it. And there
And
you
there you
have it.
have it.
One of my big things. So I've been practicing CEO Sunday for years.
Right.
And that's the concept of planning out the
Mm-hmm.
week on
Mm-hmm.
Sunday. The whole team, we have a team meeting. So we everybody's involved in CEO Sunday, right?
Right. Right.
And like the idea of like it's not about like because truthfully, it's never all done.
Mm.
It's never all done in entrepreneurship. It's never all done. But what are those priorities and what do we need that forward motion in? And especially now as we, we're going through, we're scaling growing pains, whatever you want to call it at this point. Some
Right.
days it's more growing pain
Right. Right.
than I'd like. But
Right.
the idea of like, what is the best use of my time? I
Mm-hmm.
have a finite amount of time. What's the best use of my time? Right?
Well, I think it's about value, right? So what
Right.
value do you as a CEO bring to the company,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
So me filing things doesn't bring value to the company. Now it might be great because my brain is fried, so I'm gonna file stuff, right?
Right,
But if
right.
I do that every day, or hey, I just need to choose another shade of my font, or I need to do all my social media, right? Like if that's
Guys,
stuff
that's the
that's
best
not
one.
where you bring value to the
Mhm.
time that you have, right? The reason why I charge $350 an hour is because there's value. There's 20 years of wisdom that comes to turn your,
Mhm.
to unlock some stuff for you, right?
Right,
The
right.
reason why, you're the CEO and you're leading the team is because there's a value that you bring to this, right? So the best use of your time has to be the highest use of your time.
Oh yeah. I say coach and close.
That's it.
All I'm doing right now is coaching and closing.
That's it. That's it.
And then I'm just gonna coach. I don't want to do none of the sales stuff. I'm scaling out of that too. So like are there any other when you're thinking about that health and wellness time, what does that look like for you? Do you carve out time in the morning or like what is your you time? Where do you put that during the day?
Yeah, so it always starts in the morning because what I have learned about me and how my brain works is that
Mhm.
if I let something creep in that is not really going to settle my nervous system, like I have attitude all day, like all day. And then I have to
All
like put myself in timeout and be like, okay, you need to fix your
recalibrate.
face. You need to totally. It's like fix your face, fix your attitude, go get something to eat, go read something that is not business related, like go take yourself for a walk, do whatever it is. But for me, it's early in the morning, right? Because
Mhm.
one, it's I have clients that are, in Europe or in different time zones. And so if I have to do something either late at night or really early the next morning, then I need to make sure that I'm already calibrated to be present. And so
Mhm.
for me, having that quiet time doing whatever reading and meditation and
Mhm.
whatever, making my smoothies, because, for whatever reason, lots of thinking goes on, creativity when I'm either in the shower, brewing my coffee, or making my smoothie.
I have my brilliant moments walking the dog in the morning.
There you go.
That's
There you
where I
go.
can solve the puzzle right there. But I totally agree with that. Like, I need 90 minutes of Kita time
Right.
before I do anything else. And that's my, I journal, I pray, I meditate, I walk the dog, which doubles as my workout.
Right.
And
Right.
so, like, there's a whole thing that happens.
Mhm.
And my friends tease me that I'm up at like 5 in the morning or whatever. And they're all like, why are you up so early? It's not like you're going to the office. I need my 90 minutes of Kita time.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Is like been really interesting is that so for people who had commutes, all of a sudden they didn't use that time for their own physical and mental emotional wellness. What they did is they extended their workday. And so what ends up happening is then everything that you say is important, right? So if for me, faith and family are my first two highest personal values.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
if I extend my workday, all of a sudden I have no time for any of that. And so then people get the tail end of my day. And when I'm really done peopling, because I am really an introvert, like,
Mhm.
but when I'm done peopling, it's like, don't talk to me. Don't close the door. Don't talk.
Leave me alone.
Well, that's not fair because if I say, family is my second highest value, then I just close the door on everybody. And I'm like, I'm gonna just sit here with the puppy. Y'all just, handle it
Yeah.
yourself.
Talk amongst
Then
yourself.
yeah, I am out of alignment, right?
Mhm.
And then what ends up happening is every time I do that, that allows me to slip out of alignment for other things, including whether or not I'm going to open my mail or if I'm going to,
Mhm.
do more social media stuff without actually having a sales conversation, follow up on leads, talk to my bookkeeper about, hey, where are we really standing? Talking to my, other financial advisors. Maybe you have a CPA that you can actually talk about, use as a sounding board to go, I'm really thinking about, we're going to grow in this area. I'd like to do this. What's the tax impact? What's the cash flow impact? But if you're not willing to put your own health as a priority first, then everything you touch is going to be tainted by how you're feeling and what you're doing.
There you go. Okay, lightning round. Last lightning round question.
Okay.
So, well, I got 2 questions.
Okay.
What are you currently reading? Because leaders are readers. So what's on your nighttime? What are you currently reading?
So I'm reading The Elimination of Hurry and The Color of Compromise. So 2 non-business books.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. So now this is the mic drop moment. This is where we're landing the plane here. Okay. So this is for this community that we are building around side hustlers and our scaling entrepreneurs and as this women out here that are building their own economy. What is that golden nugget? What is that if you had a gift and you put a bow on it and you wanted to hand it to them as a final thought, what is that final thought you'd like to leave with our viewers?
Well, I would love for everyone to fall in love with their finances. Mm-hmm. And here's why is, everybody thinks sales and marketing is sexy, but what's really sexy is a woman who is confident in knowing how they make their money, how they keep their money, and how they give their money as it relates to what's most important to them, their family, and their community. That's it.
And there you have it. And there you have it. Thank you so much, Audrey. This has been an absolutely delightful conversation. So one last time, where can everyone find you?
So website is theaudreycompany.com, and then Audrey L. Godwin is my handle on everything, LinkedIn, IG, and Facebook.
And so we need to follow you. We need to go to your website, and we can sign up for the upcoming class on your website.
On the website, yep.
Yep, the Fearless Financial Mastery Academy starts April 20th, and so you can find more information on the website. And we'll be sure we'll be sure to put a blurb in our newsletter as a follow-up, so that you can grab your spot in the upcoming academy. That is very exciting. So thank you once again, Audrey. Hold the line. I'm going to do the thing where I land the plane.
I love it.
Thank you so much. Wow! Don't be out of alignment, y'all. You know what's sexy? A woman that knows how she makes her money, what she does with her money, and where she gives her money. Did you hear that? Oh, let's be sexy, y'all. Let's be sexy. Once again, I am Keita Williams, and I am the founder and chief strategist of Successfully. Before I let you go, I got to remind you to grab your spot in the 5 Days of Focus Challenge for our aspiring corporate escape artists. So if you have that side hustle, and even if you are an earlier entrepreneur and you're scaling right now, we would love to personally invite you to join us in this challenge. We're going to give you some exercises so that you get really clear on those next steps and really setting those systems in place. And to scale that side hustle, so you have the option. I'm not saying everybody needs to burn the boat to quit their job, but you have the option of submitting your letter of resignation on a timeline that makes sense for you. All right. So make sure you grab that spot. Once again, your concierge is if your first name begins with the letters A through G, Danielle is your concierge. If your first letter of your name begins with the letters H through N and S through Z, CC is your concierge. And if your first name begins with the letters O through R, Jen is your concierge. So if you need any support getting registered, getting the workbook, and getting a strategy session booked with me, reach out to your concierges and they will make it happen. Oh, what a great Monday. What an awesome show. I feel inspired and lit up after this one. I'm so excited that March's theme is all around money. So we have some amazing things coming up for you all so that we can all get it together as entrepreneurs and get that money right. Let's get after it.